Hey, let's cover number 12, US to metric conversions lecture notes, right? This is going to be going between the US standard and the metric system. Conversions you're going to need. This is not all of them. This is just ones we're going to use for this section in what we'll be using for the exam are converting for inches, feet, yards, and miles. Please note that we're going to be using centimeters for inches, meters for feet, meters for yards, and kilometers for mile. Because once we get into, we can always convert over to the kilometers, and if we want to go to meters or whatever, we can jump from there. We'll talk about this more in class, but let's go ahead and get started. Convert 72 inches to centimeters. All right, remember the same concept happens no matter what we're talking about here. For my hiding calculator. We're going to start with what we're given. We're given 72 inches. So we're going to start with that. And then we're going to convert to get to centimeters. Do we have a way to get from inches to centimeters? That's the question. Well, right here, I can go from inch to centimeters. So yes, we do. Okay. So we're going to use this conversion. So before I even think about the numbers, I've got inches up top, which means I need inches down bottom. So they'll cancel each other out. And then we can go to centimeters directly based on the conversions that we've been given. Okay. All right. So once you get our units set up properly where they'll cross each other out, we now plug in our numbers, 2.54 for centimeters and 1 for inch. Remember, you multiply straight across. When you do that, our inches are reduced. This is just a one-step conversion. And we have 72 times 2.54, which is 182.88. And the answer for this is centimeters. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Convert 10 feet to meters. Attempt this one yourself. Pause the video. See if you can figure this one out. You're going from feet to meters. We've got the conversion right here that'll get us feet to meters. Pause the video, attempt this one yourself, and then come back to see how you do. All right. Always start with what you're given. Feet in the top. So we need feet to go away. And we're heading to meters, and we do have a way to go directly to meters. Another one step, which is fantastic. So now all I have to do is come up here. I've got my conversion set up. I just need my numbers. 1 foot is 0.3048 meters. Do not round that. Always give the full number. Multiplying straight across, feet are gone. And I've got 10 times 0.3048. And that is 3.048. 048. And this is meters. Okay. Next one, miles to kilometers. All right, well, I'm going to start with what I'm given, 3.5 miles. I know how to get rid of miles. Do I have a way to get from miles to kilometers? Yes, I do. Miles to kilometers right there. So now I just plug in the numbers. 1 mile is 1.609 kilometers. Multiplying straight across, miles are gone. We're left with kilometers. 3.5 times 1.609 is 5 point, do not round this, 5.6315, unless I ask you to, do not round, and you don't ever round prior to getting your final answer for this, okay? And the unit for this is kilometers. Remember, kilometers is the unit's just as important as the number at this point. All right, convert 1,200 yards to meters. Okay, start with what we're given, 1,200 yards. We're going to have to at least get rid of yards and go to something. Can we get from yards to meters? Yes, we can. 1 yard, and we can go to meters. 1 yard is the same thing as 0.9144 meters. Multiplying straight across, yards are gone. We're left with meters. So 1,200 times 0.9144 is 1097.28, and this is meters. Now we're going to do the same thing, but instead of with length, we're going to do it with weight. And so we've got ounces and pounds are the United States version. So we can go from ounce to gram. We can go from pounds to ounces to kilograms. We can go from ton to kilograms. So this is American here, the 16 ounces. All of these, let me highlight. All the ones that are American are the ounce, the pound, the ton, and the 16 ounces, which leads me to believe that with these problems, we're going to have to use probably getting from an ounces to pound situation. So let's look at the first one. Convert 8 ounces to grams. Well, we can use ounce to grams right here. Start with what we're given, 8 ounces. And I can get rid of ounces and go straight to grams based on this unit that I have available to me. So 1 ounce is the same thing as 28.35 grams. Ah, but some of you are questioning things right about now, aren't you? Because that's more than 28 grams. Just saying. When you multiply straight across, ounces are gone, left with grams. Fantastic. There's no dividing on this one. It's just multiplying 8 times 28.35, which is 226.8 grams. All right, let's look at the next one. 15 pounds. So we're going to start with 15 pounds. That's an LB, but somehow, let me clean this up. 15 pounds times, we want to get rid of our pounds. Can we go straight from pounds to kilograms? Yes, we have a pound to kilogram right here. So I can just do that, plug in my numbers. 1 pound is the same as 0.4536 kilograms. Multiplying straight across, pounds are gone, left with kilograms. There's no dividing on this one because we've got 1 in the denominator. And it's just a 1 step. 15 times 0.4536 was 6.804 kilograms. Please do not round unless I asked you to. The next one is 2.5 tons to kilograms. I'm just going to start with the 2.5 tons since I know that that's my starting unit. I'm going to get rid of tons. Can I go straight from tons to kilograms? Tons to kilograms, I sure can. So 1 ton is the same thing as 907.18 kilograms. Multiplying straight across, my tons are gone. And I just need to multiply 2.5 times 07.18. And that is 2,267.95. And this is kilograms. All right, last one on this page. Convert 9,000 grams to pounds. Start with what you're given. 9,000 grams. We want to get rid of grams and go to pounds. Do we have a way to go from grams to pounds? Grams to ounces, pounds, ounces, kilograms. Well, we could do a couple different things here. We could go from grams to ounces and then ounces to pounds. I think that's what we're going to have to do on this. We're going to have to do 2-step on this. There's other ways we could do it. We could go from grams to kilograms and then to pound. So we've got 2 different ways easily to do this. It's going to take 2 steps no matter what we do. I'm going to go with the first one I thought about, which was grams to ounces and then ounces to pounds, because those are all represented here on this sheet. Okay, so we've got 1 ounce is equal to 28.35 grams, and we've got 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. So we're going to go from grams to ounces to pounds. So we're going to have to do this. It's like a little puzzle we're playing here. We're going to go from grams to ounces, and then from ounces to pounds. So how many grams is an ounce? 1 ounce is 28.35 grams. And then 1 pound is 16 ounces. Grams, grams, 1 on top, 1 on bottom, ounce, ounce, 1 on top, 1 on bottom, left with pounds. Fantastic. We are going to have to divide on this one because there are numbers in the denominator. 9,000 times 1 times 1 is 9,000. 28.35 times 16 is 453.6. Now, as I've said in every video, do not leave this as a number over a number. Don't leave it as a fraction. You will have to divide this. So 9,000 divided by 453.6. Use the entire number. Do not round. Didn't ask you to. Now when I'm going to ask you to round. You don't round that 453.6. You don't round until you get to this number here. So our answer is going to be pounds. What are we going to round this to? Let's just round this to 19.84. Okay. Because then I don't have to round up or down or anything. The one will not round, it will not add 1 to this 4, so it'll just go away. So 19.84 or 19.84. If you rounded to the 19.8, that's correct as well. 19.841, 19.8413 is the only one you would have to worry about. I would never ask you to round this to 20. That would be inaccurate. That would make me hurt a little bit. All right, now let's talk about volume. So in the United States, some of the volume numbers are teaspoons, tablespoons, cups, pints, quarts, gallons. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. This is just some of the conversions we can use. All right. Notice that teaspoons to milliliters, because liters are always the metric version. Tablespoon to milliliters. We've got cup to milliliters. We've got pint to cups. This is, I'm going to highlight the American so that you can see which ones are on the American side of this. 2 cups, 2 pints, or a quart, and a gallon. All right. You'll be given a lot more than these in the next class, in the problem solving class, but just to get us through and understanding the concepts now, let's just use what we have here. Convert 2 cups to milliliters, and I'll give you exactly what you need on your exams as well. Convert 2 cups to milliliters. Do we have a way to get from cups to mLs? Teaspoon, cup to mLs. Heck yeah, we do. So it's a one-step process. So start with what you're given, 2 cups. Get rid of cups and going to milliliters, since we know we can do that with this one here. Plug in 1 for cup and 236.6 for milliliters. Multiplying straight across, cups are gone. We only have 1 in the denominator, so we just need to multiply. 2 times 236.6 is 473.2 mLs. All right, that's cups to milliliters. Let's do 3 gallons to liters. I have to start with 3 gallons. I don't know if I can get from gallons straight to liters. Let's see what we can do here. Gallon to liters. Yes, we can. So gallon to liters. And 1 gallon is 3.785 liters. Multiplying straight across, my gallons are gone. I'm left with liters. Just multiplying on this one, 3 times 3.785, 11.355. And this, don't forget your liters. Next one is 950 milliliters to cups. I'm just going to start with what I've given and what I want to get rid of. Can I go directly from milliliters to cups? Yes, I can. Right there, 236.6. So to cups. So 1 cup is 236.6. Multiplying straight across, my milliliters are gone. I'm left with, oh, this can be a fraction. 950 times 1 is 950 over 236.6, and this is cups. Do not forget to divide because we have number stacked on another. So 950 divided by 236.6. All right, we're going to have to round this. Let's just round it 2 decimal places as well. So 4.0, I'm going to write it down, 4.015. I want to round to this number. It's my rounding digit. This is going to be my test digit because my rounding digit, because my test digit is 5 or greater, I add 1 to my rounding digit. So it becomes 4.02 cups. Okay. It all depends on what I have you round to. The next was convert 5 quarts to liters. Okay, so we're going to start with 5 quarts. I know I'm going to get rid of quarts. Can I go from quarts to liters? There's quarts, pints, milliliters. I don't see anything that's taking me to liters besides gallons. And so let's go from quart to milliliters. And then I'll give you the part that's missing that we used yesterday, that 1,000 milliliters is equal to 1 liter. Are we looking for liters? Yeah. So we're going to have to use this conversion that we learned yesterday in metric. I think that's the easiest way to go with this, because otherwise you'll have to remember that there's 4 quarts in a gallon. I don't need you to. All right. So we're going to have to go from quarts to milliliters to liters. Or you could have gone from quarts to gallons to liters. Either way. All right. So quarts to milliliters, and then milliliters to liters. Okay, that's my setup, how I'm doing this. Quart, milliliter, milliliter, left with liter, fantastic. So quart to milliliter, 1 quart is 946.4 milliliters. And then, as I just told you, 1,000 milliliters is 1 liter. Quart on top, quart on bottom, milliliter on top, milliliter on bottom, left with liter. That's what I want. Multiply and spray across. 5 times 946.4 times 1 is 4732. And this is liters over 1,000. Please don't leave it like this. You must divide. So divide by 1,000 is 4.732 liters. Okay. That was a little fun. All right, last page, real world applications. Here's a cooking conversion. A soup recipe calls for 1.5 liters of water. How many cups of water should you measure out? So 1.5 liters is what we're starting with. Get rid of liters. Can we go directly from liters to cups? Milliliters. So let's use the 1 cup to the milliliters. Okay. So we're going to have to go from, oh, no, it's in liters. And that would take us to gallons. That would take us too long. If we try to go through the American version, it's going to take us way too long. I want to stick with staying in the metric as long as possible. So let's go from liters to milliliters to cups, because we've got milliliters to cups here, and we know that 1,000 milliliters is 1 liter. So we can go from liters, which is where we're starting at, to milliliters, and then milliliters to the cups. So liters to milliliters, and then milliliters to cups. There we go. Now we plug in our numbers. There's 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter, and there are 236.6 milliliters in 1 cup. Liters up top, liters in bottom, milliliters up top, milliliters down bottom. 1.5 times 1,000 times 1 is 1,500. This is cups over 236.6. Divided by 236.6. Please don't leave it like this. You must divide. Okay, now we're going to have to round. So we'll say we'll round to the hundredths place. We'll just go 2 decimal places. So it's 6.339. That's going to be my rounding digit. That's going to be my test digit. So we're going to add 1 to the rounding digit. It's 6.34 cups. Okay. Next one. You know what? I want to do one more thing before I do that. I want to go, what if I had rounded to 3 decimal places? What if 9 was my rounding digit and 8 was my testing digit? This is where the struggle is. I want you to pause the video and attempt this yourself. Okay. So if 8's my testing digit and it's greater than 5, I'm going to have to add 1 to my rounding digit, which would make that 6.34. 9 plus 1 would be 10. Carry the 1 would be 4. And then that would be it. And that would be cups. Okay. No, it's still the same thing. I know it seems weird, but I asked you to round to 3 decimal places here. I asked you to round to 2 decimal places here. I just wanted to show you that 9 makes a big difference in as far as the rounding portion. Okay. A 10K race is 10 kilometers long. That's what the K means, the kilometers. How many miles is that? So we're starting with 10 km. We're going to get rid of km, and we want to get to miles. Do we have a way to get from kilometers to miles? Go back and look at our conversions for that. Miles and kilometers. Heck yeah, we do. So we can go straight to miles. All right. And that was 1 mile is 1.609 kilometers. Multiplying straight across, my kilometers are gone. I'm left with miles. 10 times 1 is 10. 1.609 on the bottom, and this is miles. And now we just need to divide. 10 divided by 1.609 is 6.215. And I want to round to my second decimal place. So this is my rounding digit. 5 is my test digit. It is 5, so I can add 1 to my rounding digit. So 6.22 miles. Okay. Body weight. Your weight is 150 pounds. How many kilograms is that? Start with what you're given. And I think we have a way to get from pounds to kilograms. Let's see. Pounds to kilograms right there. So 1 pound is equal to 0.435, I'm sorry, 4536 kilograms. All right, so go to kilogram. And then 1 pound is 0.4536 kilograms. Multiplying straight across, my pounds are gone. I would just have to multiply on this one. There's no dividing. 150 times 0.4536 is 68.04 kilograms. Last one. Your car gets 30 miles per gallon. How many kilometers per liter is that? Ooh, this is a different one. 30 miles. So this one is the first one we've had to where we've had 1 unit over another one. 30 miles per always means divide 1 gallon. Okay, we're going to have to do 2 conversions here. Okay, we've got to convert the miles to the kilometers and the gallons to the liters. So we've got to do 2 conversions. Okay, no matter whether or not we have a direct line or not, you have to do at least 2. All right, so do we have anything that's going to get us from miles to kilometer? Yes. So 1 mile is equal to 1.609 kilometer. And then from gallon to liter, which is this one, 1 gallon is equal to 3.785 liters. Okay, so watch this. I'm only doing one of these. I think there's only one that, yeah. You will be have to doing this in the next class in problem solving. So I wanted to make sure you had a visual of this before we went to that point. Okay. So you don't just go miles. No, calm down. We're going to do one of these at a time. I'm going to ignore the 1 gallon. Okay. I'm only going to deal with the converting of miles to kilometers right here. I'm converting from miles to kilometers just in this step. So miles up top, miles down low. Okay, that gets rid of the miles. And then I can take it to the kilometers. All right, once I do that, I can plug in my numbers, 1 and 1.609. I'm done with converting 30 miles to kilometers. Once I multiply, I'll take care of that. Now I need to look at the bottom number. Gallons is on the bottom. To get rid of gallons, I need a gallons at the top. So they'll cross each other out when I multiply. I don't want gallons, I want liters. So that's going to be in the bottom now instead of gallons. Okay. Once I get these numbers, these units set up correctly to where gallons will cancel out, I can put 1 for gallons and 3.785 for my liters. Multiplying straight across, my miles are gone, I'm left with kilometers. My gallons are gone, I'm left with liters. So right now, I've got kilometers per liter as my units. The only thing I have left to do is to multiply and then divide. 30 times 1.609 is 48.27 over 1 times 1 times 3.785. So I just need to divide this by 3.785. And I get 12.752 kilometers per liter. I'm going to round this to 2 decimal places. That'll be my rounding digit. 2 is my testing digit. Testing digit is less than 5, so it just goes away. So 12.75 kilometers per liter. And that's how you can convert your car, your gas mileage, if you go to Canada or something, to kilometers per liter versus miles per gallon, since that's the way they look at it as well. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.